You know, no matter how long you've been officiating, there's still opportunities to enhance our understanding of the rules. Even more experienced officials can learn something. Are we going to learn some stuff today? Yes, we are. Stick around. Greetings. Welcome back to the Basketball Rules Expert, the show where we take Federation rules, bring them off the printed page, breathe life, simplify, clarify, and amplify so that we can take those rules with us onto the basketball court where it is most important. Let's get started with our very first play scenario. Team B is out of timeouts and trails by 5 near the expiration of time. B1 scores a 2-point goal. The ball passes through the basket at 7.07 seconds remaining. The ball bounces 2 or 3 times before the official begins a visible count with under 5 seconds remaining. A1 never picks up the ball and time expires with no violation. The officials rule that the game has ended. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? End of game scenario. Team trails by 5. They are out of timeouts. The officials know they are out of timeouts. They score a basket. There is 7 seconds when the ball passes through the basket. It bounces once or twice. The official then begins a count with the under 5 seconds remaining, and time expires without the opponent ever picking up the basketball. Energy in the building. Have the officials done things correct in this instance? So, in this scenario, were our officials correct? Yes or no? Yes, they were. In this situation, the officials need to make a judgment about when the throw-in begins. Our guidance by rule is that the opponent in this situation, is allowed a moment or two, an ample amount of time to recognize that it is their ball for throw-in. When the ball passes through, right, it's just below the net at 0.7, the throw-in has not begun. Right? It's not until the ball is deemed to be at the disposal of the throwing team. This is a judgment that is made by the administering official in this situation. Teams are allowed an opportunity to recognize their responsibility for the resulting throw-in. So, in this instance, where a couple of seconds elapsed before the official began their throw-in count, the officials were correct by rule. This is a judgment by the administering official about when the ball is at the disposal and when the throw-in has begun. Can lead to confusion by the participants in the game, but this is the correct ruling on this play. All right, next scenario. Let's go. A1 is fouled by B1 during a successful try for goal. B1 then taunts A1. Teammate A2 then taunts B1 by clapping in their face. The officials rule technical fouls on B1 and A2 and that the tees did not occur simultaneously. A1 attempts their merited free throws. Team B then attempts 2 free throws. Then Team A 2 free throws, followed by a Team A throw-in at the division line opposite the table. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Right, so we have dead ball technicals in this situation. Our inclination is that these occurred simultaneously, but we look at the rules to help us for guidance in this situation. So in this situation, we have a foul on a shooter. A fouling player then taunts the player that they just fouled. A teammate of the player who was fouled comes in and has unsporting comments as well. The officials assess both the original foul and subsequent technical fouls on two players and determine that these were not simultaneous, and we're going to administer free throws related to all of the fouls in this instance. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Yes, they were. These are not, even though they occur during the same dead ball period, these are not simultaneous fouls, and each should be penalized in the order of occurrence, which will, of course, affect who ultimately gets the ball in this situation. So our guidance here is these are not to be considered, even though they could happen very rapidly within a limited time frame, that these are not simultaneous fouls by rule. So this is great guidance because these situations will occur in our game. Also, in our game, we're compelled. Energy in the game wants us to, can we simplify the situation? Instead of shooting free throws here and then shooting free throws here and then shooting free throws here and then having a division line throw in, at other levels, they handle these situations differently and they're more compressed and save more time. But in this instance, we have a correct ruling by our crew. And this is great guidance for our game when we step onto the court. This single case play, right, can help us learn how to adjudicate play scenarios like this that will occur in our game. So with that case play, we have something concrete that we can take with us onto the basketball court. The recognition that these are not related technical fouls and are to be treated as not simultaneous by rule. It's great when we have something that we can take with us. And I'll tell you something that we have here at A Better Official is we have tremendous show supporters. Brad Thompson, Luis Torres, Eric Eichacker, Mark Fisher, and Kurt Johnson. Much appreciated and much love. If you want to support the show, there is always a link down in the show notes below, and I will definitely ensure that I put one up above. A15 is detected dunking 12 minutes before the game. Team B adds a player to the book with 4 minutes prior to the game. The officials rule technical fouls against A15 and against Team B and begin the game with free throws by Team B, then free throws by Team A, followed by a division line throw-in to Team A. Were the officials correct in this instance? Yes or no? All right, so we have 2 infractions before the start of the game. We have A15 dunking the basketball. This would be on the player. A15 would receive a technical foul. It's a bench technical foul. The head coach would receive an indirect. And then Team B adds a player to the book 4 minutes prior to the game, an administrative technical foul. The officials rule technical fouls in both instances. But was their adjudication of the play correct in this instance, where they assessed the penalty for one technical foul followed by the penalty for the other? Were they correct? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, they were. This is the correct administration by case play and by rule. The two did not occur simultaneously. They're not to be treated as occurring simultaneously. We do penalize them in the order of occurrence and begin the game with the penalties for the technical fouls in the order of occurrence, and then a division line throw in opposite the table. So our crew in this instance is off to a great start. Yeah. 5 minutes prior to the start of the game, Team A adds a player to the book. With 3 minutes before the game, Team B does the same thing. The officials begin the game with 2 free throws for Team B, followed by 2 free throws for Team A and a Team A throw-in at the division line. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? So, up to this point, we've had situations where technical fouls are considered to be not simultaneous by rule. But in this case play, we have a situation where technical fouls by both teams, right? These are not on individuals, these are on the teams. And our ruling in this instance is that these, since they are on the teams and occurred during this period, they are to be considered simultaneous by rule, right? That's a tough spot. So in this instance, where the officials did them in the order of occurrence, were our officials correct? Yes or no? No. No, they weren't, right? So this is where things can get confusing, right? We have case plays that say in some instances these are not simultaneous. These two events that occur at different times during the period before the game, but are considered to be similar enough by case play that they are to be treated as simultaneous. So we get a little bit of confusion, but the key here in the case play ruling is technical fouls on the teams, right? So you could have a situation where a player failed to submit their roster before the 10-minute mark, and then the other team does something administrative in that situation. A technical foul on the team is the takeaway from this case play scenario. But we can understand how there's confusion related to this, but that's the guidance we have. We never get from National Federation of High School Basketball rules, we never get a full relationship between case plays. They just stand alone, and we're left to sort them. But that would be my takeaway when I'm taking with me onto the basketball court. If we have a technical foul on Team A prior to the game, and we have a technical foul on Team B prior to the game, not on a player from Team A or a player from Team B or a player from Team A and the team, right? When we have technical fouls on both teams in this situation, those are to be considered simultaneous by rule, as non-intuitive as that may seem. Whew, okay, all right. Our crew is doing great, 3-1. Right, let's see how we do on our next scenario. Well, that's a lot of words. With Team A leading 45-30, A1 commits his or her 5th personal foul. Both the head coach and player are properly notified. Team A has substitutes available, but the head coach from Team A does not send a substitute to the table within the 15-second time limit. The Team A head coach is assessed a tactical foul. The head coach still does not send a substitute to the table. The officials rule the game to be over by forfeit, and Team B wins 2-0. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Wow. Team is leading 45-30. The team that's ahead has a player foul out. The coach is not happy with this situation, is obstinate, does not produce a substitute. A technical foul is assessed on the head coach. The coach is obstinate and fails to produce a substitute even after that has occurred. The officials rule this to be making a mockery of the game and end the game and rule it to be a forfeit. In this instance, were our officials correct? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, they were. Right? This case play gives us some guidance in this situation. Failure to respond to a technical foul situation is to be considered a very serious issue. And in this instance, the head coach refusing to produce a substitute even after a technical foul is assessed is to be considered making a mockery of the game, right? Obviously, we would not rush into this situation, rush into this ruling, but this is the guidance by the case play that in this instance, right? Why was the interval reduced to 15 seconds? Because of coaches acting out in this situation. No, I get my 30 seconds, and they bring their team over, and we're going to have a little de facto huddle here to, show our resentment about the foul that you fouled out my star player or whatever, right? So the interval is reduced, and nothing can occur until the substitute is produced in this situation. That's a key thing to remember as well, right? The coach is being obstinate and failing to produce that substitute. A technical foul is assessed on the head coach. At that point, the coach must produce that substitute, and the failure to do so is to be considered making a mockery of the game, right? Now, obviously, we're not going to 2 seconds later say, no sub. Okay, game over, you lose, right? That's pretty severe penalty. But if that is the guidance in this situation, the coach remains obstinate and refuses to respond in this situation, a technical foul, or rather a forfeit, is on the table in this instance. And in this instance, our crew was correct. Something we could take with us onto the basketball court. Well, that was an extreme ruling, but we have that guidance by rule that failure to comply with a technical foul may result in forfeiture. So, with that, let's move on to our next play scenario. After a made basket and after A1 has picked up the ball for a throw-in, B1 reaches across the boundary and slaps the ball out of A1's hands. The officials rule a delay of game warning and admonish B1 not to do that again, then administer a throw-in to resume play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? So after a scored goal, team player takes the ball and starts to begin their throw-in. An opponent reaches through the boundary plane, dislodges the ball. The officials rule a delay of game violation, give a stern talking to our offending player, and then resume the game with a throw-in. Were the officials correct in this instance, yes or no? This is one I hope we would all get correct. Indeed, they were incorrect by rule. While indeed we are going to assess a delay of game warning in this situation, a player violating the boundary plane and contacting the basketball is a player technical foul by rule. Violating the boundary plane and contacting the basketball, player technical foul by rule. Now, if our thrower had instead brought the ball through the boundary plane over the basketball court and our defensive player did the same thing, There is no violation in that situation, but it is a player technical to violate reach through the boundary plane and contact the basketball. So in this instance, our crew got this one wrong. Well, we've had some great scenarios today. Let's end with one final scenario for the day. Let's take a look at our final scenario. After a goal by Team B, A1 has the ball for a throw-in along the end line. A1 extends her arms over the end line so that her forearms, hands, and ball are entirely on the inbound side of the boundary line. B2 slaps A1 on the wrist and dislodges the ball. The officials rule an intentional foul on B2. 2 free throws to A1 and a designated spot throw-in nearest the spot of the foul. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Is this the correct ruling in this scenario? After a scored goal, player has the ball for a throw-in. Maybe steps towards the line to release, but extends the ball through the boundary plane. The defensive player contacts A1 on the wrist and dislodges the basketball. The officials rule an intentional foul in this scenario. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Yes, they were. This is an intentional foul by rule. Thinking it through, it's just like we know that reaching through the boundary plane and contacting the thrower, but the thrower has extended over the court, right? But that does not eliminate the restriction. You cannot contact the thrower illegally in this instance. It is an intentional foul on the offending player by rule. Now, we know that in a situation where you reach through the boundary plane and contact the thrower, that's also an intentional foul accompanied by a delay of game warning for violating the boundary plane. In this instance, we do not have that warning because there has been no violation of the boundary plane, but the illegal contact on the thrower is an intentional foul by rule. Thanks for joining us today for the Basketball Rules Expert. I think we brought to bear things that we can definitely take with us onto the basketball court where it's most important. If you find value as a basketball official in this video content, do me a favor. Hit the like button down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notify bell so you don't miss out on any of our new content. We're not missing out on anything but support from our tremendous show supporters this week. Brad Thompson, Luis Torres, Eric Eichacker, Mark Fisher, and Kurt Johnson. Much appreciated and much love. If you want to support the show, there is always a link down in the show notes below, and I will definitely ensure that I put one up above. Additional video content is available for you here. Here's our most recent 5-Play Friday. Here's our most recent Basketball Rules Expert. Make a choice. Choose wisely. We'll see you in the very next one. Take care, everybody.